Welcome back to the On the Down Lowe podcast. If you can tell, if you're watching this, keyword watching this, you can see me now. And I decided that it was time to expand this portion of the podcast because I know, speaking personally from myself, whenever I listen to podcasts, because I enjoy podcasts, I wouldn't have started one if I didn't enjoy them. I like listening to them where I can still see the person. And I know that this is not the highest quality, but hey, it's an improvement. You can see me now. And this is on New Year's Day. Uh, so happy New Year to everyone that is listening and or watching. Excited I get to say that now. But since I haven't promoted it before, I made a YouTube channel for this podcast a couple of months ago. I was planning to upload just the audio files so people that didn't like Spotify could listen on YouTube. But now, if you're on YouTube, you get the best of both worlds. You get to see my face. You can actually see the expressions that you can hear me make over a microphone. See, it's really just a full circle moment. But go check out the YouTube channel. I will link it in the description of this podcast on Spotify. And I will also, if you don't follow me or not friends with me on Facebook or Instagram, On the Down Lowe Pod on Instagram and On the Down Lowe Podcast on Facebook. That's where you will see all of the links, any of the topics that I'm discussing hit the internet before I have a chance to post it. That being said, last week was a more self-help geared episode, and I found with the podcast, this is how I wanted it to be, is where I kind of talk about things that I need to hear. So some weeks it's going to be lighthearted. It's going to be funny. It's going to be me talking about my pet peeves. Other weeks it's going to be me doing a 3-week deep dive about a president. I mean, it just kind of depends. And I think I got a hankering for another history deep dive coming up probably next week. Not going to say who it's about. Use 2 brain cells to figure out who you would think it's about. Wonder which president it is. Wonder who. I think that's going to start up next week, and I want to go just fully in depth with that person, because I know a lot of people were kind of confused that I didn't talk about this guy first, and talked about Bill Clinton first. You know, kind of wishing I would have just halted on Bill, because that's not a light-hearted affair to cover. Anything related to the Clintons. It's not lighthearted. And there for a couple of weeks, mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, literally, if someone would have came up to me and asked me what I was thinking about, I would have said Bill Clinton. Which is nothing I ever saw for myself, but that's how it was whenever I was doing that 3-week sprint of information about the Clintons. So, I will keep you updated on said historical figure. But there's a lot of family matters to cover with that person. Not just them and their presidency, but with the family. So this week, I want to talk about the other side of what I talked about last week, which was friendships and personality changes. Something that we all go through. This week I want to talk about, quote, enemies. If you are friends with me on Facebook, yet again, go follow me on Facebook. I posted what I was going to be talking about in this episode. And in that I said, quote, enemies, and how to be the bigger person. Now, I say that very lightly, because I feel that many people say, I'm trying to be the bigger person. They don't know exactly what that means. That changes from person to person. That is a subjective phrase to throw out. And then the second portion of that was self-discipline, and how to get control of the things that you fooled yourself into believing that you have control of, when in reality, you lost the reins about 2 years ago. If you feel called out, good, this is for you. Because many people have this, quote, pseudo-discipline. They don't realize that they don't have as much of a grip on something as they think they do. So let's start off right out the gate with enemies. Now, last week I broke down the differences in friendships. Okay, you have the anchored friendships and you have the handcuffed friendships. And in the latter part of that episode, I talked about how you owe it to yourself to try and mend a friendship, to try and take a handcuffed friendship from a handcuffed friendship to an anchored friendship. But like I said, it takes both independent parties making that happen. So, say it doesn't work. Okay, you could not mend the break that was in that once kind of connected, somewhat bound relationship or friendship. You now feel you feel like you could tip at any moment. Whenever you go through a friendship, quote, breakup, or an actual breakup, you feel that your temper could go at any moment. And a lot of people go wrong whenever they are out of a friendship that was once a really great thing, and a lot of people really thought was a great thing. They have a tendency to be overreactive. These people that are not typically hot-tempered, that are not typically overreactive, not typically that super outspoken, start saying things to try and, in a way, paint themselves as the bigger person. When you want to take the step toward being the bigger person, many people take that as they need to take as many blows at the other person as they can to show that they are above that person. Well, that's not true, so nix that out of your mind right now. Okay, 2025 is the year of self-realization. And the biggest thing that I've seen it with myself, whenever you have a reactive friendship split, the person that was maybe responsible for enacting the break has a tendency to fire off some low blows. And what I say to you is, you are not doing yourself any good by firing these low blows, because you are then enacting in a portion that is reflective of things that didn't work in the other person. Meaning, you are doing things that made you upset when you saw someone else do it, so therefore, why are you going to act that same way to someone, that same behavior that made you absolutely disgusted when you saw it in someone else? You're not being the bigger person. You're deflecting that ugly behavior back onto someone. Many people think that they need to get even with people. You don't need to do that. The best way to get even with someone is not to just walk away. Okay, as red-blooded human beings, we do not want to walk away from something. We want to be the one with the last say, even if that last say is something that is truly hateful and not reflective of our nature at all. The phrase, being the bigger person, is so watered down now. Same thing with self-discipline. I'll get into that later. But being the, quote, bigger person does not imply that you have to just absolutely sink to the level of the person that made you absolutely disgusted in them. As harsh as that sounds, sinking to someone else's level, that level that you saw in someone that was the reason for a friendship to break up, you are not becoming a better version of yourself because of that break. You are just becoming that version of them. Because that is what you know, that is what you've seen in other people, and we have a tendency to build our personality, to build our development around what we see. Becoming a truly, quote, bigger person is being able to step off of that beaten path. You already know what happens if you walk down the path that person is going down. You see that it makes you upset. So why would you reflect that behavior? When people get it in their minds that they want to be a better version of themselves after this break, they take that as their sign to publicly flaunt it. So they may not be making any personal change at all, but they're going to talk so much, they're going to put so much out into the world to try and fool people into believing that they are becoming a better version of themselves, when they do not understand that it is only within them that they can make that personal change happen. It doesn't matter what people know. If you, by yourself, at the end of the day, are not doing anything to become a personally new version of yourself, then you're back at ground zero. You are back, you might as well just put yourself back in that friendship that was once a different version of you that you maybe weren't happy with. Your demeanor will change so much whenever you realize, and it's hard to realize this with yourself, that your steps to be the quote bigger person actually just made you look like a fool. Some people never do that, and they forever go on thinking that they were the one that was completely right. They go on thinking that they did nothing wrong. The difficult part about being a better version of yourself and having control of that new path is difficult because many people do not sit down and have the discussion with themselves that they need to make a change. The two questions you have to ask yourself are, am I happy with how I am reflecting my behavior? Okay? A lot of people just stop there. I mentioned this last time too. You have to ask yourself two critical questions. Kind of the subjective one, the blanket statement that you can say yes or no to, and a lot of people won't bat an eye at. But then there's the one that's truly pinpointed, and that is, can I change this portion of myself that I'm unhappy with? If your answer, and you answer this honestly with yourself, and you don't think that in the future you would be able to stop the way that you're acting and change, and the answer is no, I don't think I can change this, you need to have a serious come to Jesus moment with yourself, because you don't want to lie to yourself with that question. If you even have any doubt that you would have a problem in the future or have a problem trying to make new relationships or friendships in the future because of the way that you're seeding your behavior now, you need to do something now, as difficult as that may be. And the kind of the perfect segue into this self-realization that you need to have more control, more of a grip on the things that are going on in your life, is self-discipline. This may make some people mad. I don't care. If I was scared of hurting people's feelings, I wouldn't have made a podcast. I mean, it's not tough love, it's just how it is. And so many people say, well, it's tough love, so, it kind of, in their minds, gives them the out to say, oh, well, I don't have to listen to this because this is abundantly harsh. No, this is just how it is. There's no sugarcoating, there's no cover sheet to it. This is just how it is. You're getting the information right here. Take with it what you will. Self-discipline. And what I want to more specifically talk about is pseudo-discipline. You're like, Emily, what's that mean? Well, I was driving home the other night, and I thought of this, and then I was like, that needs to be something that I talk about on my podcast. Pseudo-discipline. This could be someone that at one point in time had a pretty good grip on themselves mentally, physically, emotionally. They were pretty tied into their needs and had to control themselves if they ever derailed. Well, at some point in time, they let the lesser important side, the more dramatic side, reactive side of themselves, or the result of an event, take the reins. They took the reins of that discipline, and now it could be years, it could be however long, months down the road, they still think that they have control of that portion of their lives. They don't realize that every step that they make where they convince themselves that they are disciplined, they're not fully steering the ship, if you know what I'm saying. They have a self-control problem. They are convinced that since they had control at one point in time in their lives, that it gives them this almost arrogance, this edge to say, well, I can still do this because I did it at one point in time. Whether that makes any sense or not, or if anyone can relate to that, I've seen people in my life, I've seen people everywhere do this, where, they were pretty good at one point in time with their self-control and their discipline, but they fell off a little bit and they still have the confidence, too much of that laxness in their mind, that they could do whatever they set their minds to without even having the discipline enacted in that. It's often times more than not comes out in the way of flaunting it publicly. They feel that they have such a grip on their life or such a grip on a portion of their life that they need to tell it to other people to really just solidify that they are indeed disciplined. I feel like that's the best way to see that someone is not disciplined, that they are insecure. Stay with me. That they are insecure and they need to show other people, prove to other people that they are disciplined, because they cannot prove it to themselves mentally, and they have constantly, for the past however long duration of time, have let the lesser important side of their lives take control. They let the arrogance come in. They let the insecurity come in. They do not have control on a majority of their lives, so therefore they need to show to other people, not to themselves, they need to prove to other people and put on the mask that they are indeed in control. That they have so much discipline, that they are the ones that are working the absolute hardest, that they want it the most. Do you? I have found that the people that do the most talking, the people that do the most flaunting of their hardships or their situations, either good or bad, are the most likely people to do the least to change their situation because they feel that they don't need to. They are going to complain and say that so-and-so or the world owes them something, that they always feel like they deserve someone. Someone always has an IOU for them. That is not how the world works, if you haven't figured that out already. And the people that live this way will constantly be in a plateau of their discipline. They feel that they are at the top of the mountain. They feel that they have such a grip on it because everyone else knows that they, quote, have a grip on their lives. These are the people that are the most likely to fail and to fall out of a good situation because they were insecure about it and they could not come to grips in their mind that they were not where they wanted to be. Lying to yourself is the worst thing you personally can do to yourself. Lying to yourself and making yourself believe that your self-control is just so impenetrable that no one can get through to you, that no one can make you feel bad, that no one can make you feel like a lesser version of yourself. You need to understand the changes that you need to make in order to become that kind of Fort Knox version of your discipline. Going back to what I said about the quote pseudo-discipline. Discipline comes in with self-control. So many people try to give up a certain thing. That could be whatever you want it to be. It could be as easy as scrolling on TikTok too long, or it could be a serious addiction. Some people are so convinced in their minds that they can just, give something up whenever they want to because they have the control, that they feel they are in control, when in reality, they don't have as much discipline as they think they do. Telling yourself that, oh yeah, I can drop this, I can change this whenever I want, is the first sign to yourself that you are not as in touch or in tune with your discipline as you think you are. Giving yourself the immediate out that, oh, I could just change this when I want to. Now, I'm not really I said addiction, but I'm not talking in terms of like serious addiction. Okay, I'm not trying to discredit that at all. That's a different bear. I'm talking about like pretty surface level kind of attractions, attention things. Many people that have those moments of realization that they need to change a portion in their life, they need to change that kind of addiction portion of their life, they get a little bit of an ego because they finally noticed some real self control. They confuse the self control for discipline and in mental connectivity. They feel that that little bit of self control makes them kind of the king of the castle. So you'll see it a lot where someone may bring it up in conversation, and that person is like, no, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z right now, and then judges the other people that are doing X, Y, and Z. Without saying it, are saying, I am not concerned enough to change my life permanently and to fix this portion of myself, but I have this little bitty shred of self control, so therefore I'm going to make it known to everybody that I am trying to change this, but I'm not exactly serious about it. Because those are often the people that think they did it good enough for a little chunk of time, so therefore they can go back to how they were. You see it with dieting a lot. They do good for a week, so therefore they're going to eat whatever they want to for a week. And then you just start the process over, and people start seeing this pseudo discipline. When you truly realize and get a grip, a true permanent grip on your discipline and your self control and the way that you portray yourself to yourself, you will see a serious change, and you'll also be able to go about these maybe tense interactions with friends or with a whoever it is, with an acquaintance. You'll be able to go about those tense moments a little differently. Because whenever you are truly disciplined and you've adopted the mindset of being the bigger person, you don't feel the need to prove it to other people. And that doesn't make you selfish, it doesn't make you arrogant, that makes you connected to yourself. That makes you stand out as the bigger person. The bigger person in any situation does not have to say, I'm the bigger person. Because the way that they act and the way that they carry themselves will do all the talking. So if you take anything from this episode, please let it be that when you are truly connected to yourself, your discipline, and your control, you do not have to do the talking. Your actions and the way that you are around people and the way that you deal with these tense interactions or with these handcuff relationships, it will do all the talking. You shouldn't have to bark to let people know that you bite, okay? You should not have to do all this talking and this over exaggerated action to let people know that you are in control, that you have a serious grip on what's going on in your life. People do not understand that, and they see you as a kind of reserved person, kind of a passive individual, when in reality, you know what you need to do to continue the path that you are on. I said it at the beginning, kind of briefly, but many people that are unhappy with the way that they are disciplined, the way that they are connected with themselves emotionally, many of those kind of characteristics and those traits came as a reflection from other people that maybe weren't exactly the best people to walk after. You know what I'm saying? Please do not let nasty traits that you have observed from other people be the reflection of your personality and your discipline and your control and the way that you carry yourself. It's hard, and I would sit here and sound like a hypocrite if I tried to say that I don't pattern my behavior after some of the people that I'm around, but I would also be a hypocrite and a liar if I said that I do not try to actively change that and pave my own path. That's where many people go wrong, is that they just see this conduct of behavior in other people and see, oh, well, they've done pretty good, so they're gonna pattern their life exactly after them. When in reality, you don't know exactly what's going on in someone's head. They could be feeling guilty all the time because of how they feel. And then you start resenting that person. You start resenting some of the people that you're around. Well, it works for them. Why can't it work for me? Personalities and your brain does not do all the talking all the time. Bad habits are easier for your brain to mask and put on the face that everything's okay and you're happy with the way you're portraying yourself. Unlike good habits, you are so much more apt to show that you are, positively thinking about your actions and that you are happy with the way that you are portraying yourself. It's natural for us as humans, at all ages, to try and mask the portions of ourselves that we're not happy with. So yeah, no wonder why people that are the most insecure, the people that are the most undisciplined, try to mask it and show other people and make other people believe that they have a grip on everything, when in reality, they feel horrible about the way that they're leading their lives. And that is why I say it again, I'm going to say it one more time, and I want you to listen to me. It is so important to ask yourself those questions. As uncomfortable as they may feel, it's important to have those discussions with yourself. No one else can have that discussion with you and be 100% honest. I mean, those are hard questions to have someone else ask you, because you feel that you have to give a masked answer if you're truly not happy with the way you're portraying yourself. But if you ask yourself the question of, am I happy or proud of the way that I act, the way I'm disciplined, the way I control my life, and you also ask yourself, can I change this? And the answer is no. You don't think you could years down the road? Do something now. You have only yourself to help you, truly help you, become a better version, more disciplined, controlled version of yourself. The lesson for 2025 is, do not put all your eggs in someone else's basket. Do not pattern yourself after someone that looks to have it all together, when in reality, they're not happy with the way that they lead themselves. Do not put all your eggs in someone else's basket. Do not put all your faith in someone else, when the only person that can truly make the decisions that make you happy and that make you feel fulfilled is you. I mean, writing things down is probably the best thing you can do. If you keep it in your mind, and I said this, if it wasn't last episode, it was a couple episodes ago, where if you say something in your mind, you think it, you are more apt in the future, if you're trying to recall what you said to yourself, your mind is going to give you every reason in the world why that is not so, or why that is different than what you initially thought it was. If you write it down on pen and paper, there's no getting around it. That is what you meant, that's what you said, so therefore that's what you have to go off of. If you have a goal and you have something that you're not happy with that you're seeing, or you're doing something, this goes back to weakness patterns, if you're doing something when you're vulnerable, when you feel that you are in crisis mode, and you have this weakness pattern to look out for, write it down. And you feel a certain way, playing the tape forward, you feel a certain way after doing this, X, Y, and Z, after feeling vulnerable, you cannot debate it with yourself. Humans are the best skeptics when it comes to their own behaviors. So if you truly see that you have a control and a discipline problem, and you know that every single time that you play the tape forward, and you know that you're not going to be happy or fulfilled or proud of the way that you acted, write it down. Well, I think I've screamed at you enough. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, I think next week is going to be moving into historical information again. Give a little bit of a break from the self-help stuff. But also, like I said, I don't know if that's exactly what I want to go into next week. I feel that this podcast is a reflection of what I need to hear, and I think this was a topic going into the new year that we all need to sit and listen to. So, I hope I didn't offend you too much, but these are serious things, serious bullet points that we need to reflect with ourselves on every once in a while. Well, that's all I got for you today. And I really do, like I said, I hope that you can listen to what I'm saying, to these moments that I need to tell myself every once in a while and reflect with myself on. I hope you can take this into your personal life and kind of apply as needed. So, I will talk to you all next week, and follow me on the socials. Okay, once again, there is a YouTube channel where these will also be going up on. So if you don't like Spotify, go to the YouTube channel. So you will be able to see and hear me, and not just hear me on Spotify. But the socials will be linked in the description, as always, on the Down Lowe Pod on Instagram, on the Down Lowe Podcast on Facebook. So until next week, I'll talk to y'all later. Take care.